Viewers, welcome back to Home Study. And of course, we are still doing our biology lesson for Form 5s. Mr. Dlamini, it's over to you.
Thank you, Nogwazi. So we look at human reproduction next, and we just want to highlight a few things here. Firstly, that human reproduction is sexual, and the male gametes are called the sperm cells and are produced in the testes, whereas the female gametes, called egg cells, are produced in the ovaries. We also want to talk about sex hormones, and specifically the sex hormones in males. The sex hormone in males is testosterone, whereas the sex hormone in females is estrogen. And these hormones regulate and develop the sex organs as well as the secondary sexual characteristics. And the learner will be aware that secondary sexual characteristics are the characteristics that appear at puberty. I want to talk also about the menstrual cycle, which is a 28-day cycle, maybe longer, maybe shorter, but important things to remember are the events in the cycle, namely menstruation and ovulation. Now, in between, there is maturation of the ovum or the egg cell, which will be released at ovulation, and there is thickening of the uterus wall in preparation for possible implantation if the egg is fertilized. The cycle involves hormones. I will just highlight the roles of the hormones and specifically make reference to estrogen, which repairs and maintains the uterus lining, and progesterone, which causes the uterus lining to thicken, follicle stimulating hormone, which stimulates maturation of the egg and also stimulates estrogen production. Lastly, luteinizing hormone, which stimulates ovulation and stimulates the production of progesterone. So fertilization will be preceded by sexual intercourse, obviously, which involves an organ called a penis inserted into a vagina, and stimulation resulting in ejaculation, and will occur when the sperm cell swims up the uterus into the oviduct and fuses with the mature egg to form a zygote. The zygote will then divide repeatedly to form an embryo, which sinks into the thickened lining of the uterus and becomes implanted, thus developing into what we will then refer to as the fetus. Our next slide just shows the developing fetus in the uterus, and we can see here that there is a placenta that is attached to the wall of the uterus, umbilical cord which connects the placenta to the fetus, as well as a sac around the fetus called the amniotic sac, and a fluid called the amniotic fluid. Our next slide just touches on the functions of the placenta, namely allowing transfer of nutrients and oxygen and waste products from the fetus to the mother. It also produces the hormone progesterone to maintain the pregnancy. And lastly, it does not allow mixing of the maternal and fetal blood. Our learner might think, why should the fetal blood and maternal blood not mix? That would be an interesting question. The amniotic sac and amniotic fluid. The amniotic sac has the function of enclosing the amniotic fluid and protecting the fetus from pathogens and toxins, whilst the amniotic fluid supports the fetus and protects it from any physical damage. Now, during pregnancy, the hormones have several important roles, namely progesterone maintains the thick uterus lining on which the fetus is attached, and it prevents ovulation and menstruation. Estrogen, on the other hand, stimulates growth of the milk-producing tissues in the breast. Next, we just touch on the care of a pregnant woman called antenatal care. It's important for a pregnant woman to eat a balanced diet, obviously, but also there are specific nutrients that are important, namely calcium for bone and tooth formation, iron for making red blood cells, folic acid, which helps in development of the central nervous system of the fetus, carbohydrates for energy, and lastly, proteins for making new cells. Pregnant mother must also avoid alcohol, which increases the risk of miscarriage and stillbirth, smoking, which increases the risk of underdeveloped or deformed babies. Other drugs obviously can be included in this list, and there are various different effects they might have on the baby. Now, after pregnancy, there is birth, which occurs in 3 important stages, which we will show right here. And labor is the first stage, and that involves rhythmic contractions of the uterus, which become stronger and more frequent. That is accompanied by dilation of the cervix. The second stage, delivery, is when the contractions of the uterus and abdominal muscles become stronger and push the baby out through the cervix and the vagina. The final stage, called afterbirth, is when the umbilical cord is cut and the placenta is expelled through the vagina. So that is the process of birth. Now, after birth, maybe it is important for learners to know what are the advantages and disadvantages of breastfeeding. It is advisable to breastfeed specifically because breastfeeding provides a bond for the mother and the child. Breastfeeding provides the child with antibodies to protect the child from diseases. Breastfeeding will also give milk that is sterile, that is fresh at the correct temperature, and relatively is very cheap, as you might know. To wrap up our lesson on reproduction, therefore, we just want to say this. Today we looked at the types of reproduction and compared the implications of whether reproduction is sexual or asexual. We looked at some examples of asexual reproduction. We looked also at the reproduction in plants and the differences between wind-pollinated and insect-pollinated flowers. We looked at reproduction in humans, and in reproduction in humans, we discussed the menstrual cycle, the roles of the different hormones that play a part in the menstrual cycle, and we talked also about the antenatal care, how to take care whilst pregnant, and also the process of birth. I hope the lesson has been helpful, Nogwazi.
It has been very, very helpful, actually, Mr. Dlamini. I have two questions from two of our viewers. One viewer is asking if the amniotic fluid can sometimes be called amnion.
Yes, Nogwazi, of course. Amniotic fluid, amnion means the same thing. So amnion is a short way of referring to amniotic fluid.
Okay, and the next question from our viewer is oh, sorry, I just missed it a little bit here. Right. Just give me a few seconds. Okay, the next question is, where does implantation take place? From the viewer is asking.
Okay, implantation is when the embryo sinks into the wall of the uterus, where it will then develop. So implantation takes place in the uterus.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dlamini. I hope the Form 5s were watching and they were actually taking notes and were able to learn a couple of things. If you would like, maybe you can just wrap up a little bit, Mr. Dlamini, and just remind us what we were learning about today. Just a couple of seconds.
Okay, thank you. Today we're learning about types of reproduction, the differences between the types of reproduction, sexual reproduction, asexual reproduction. We learned also about the implications of each of the two types of reproduction, whether reproduction is sexual or asexual. What does that imply for the organism? We looked at sexual reproduction in two organisms, namely flowering plants, which, as we know, are important for many reasons to us humans, and we looked at reproduction in humans because we are human.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was really interested on the hormones part. That table was really, really interesting. Thank you very much, Mr. Dlamini. Now, we're up next, is the physics class for Form 5s. I will be with Nolwazi Dlamini. Don't get that mistaken. It's Nolwazi, not Nogwazi. It's not going to be me. It's going to be Miss Nolwazi Dlamini. She's up next with our physics for Form 5. Form 5s, do not go anywhere. We're coming right back.
Nine bekunene live laseswatini liyatimbandzakanya nemkhankaso welitiko letempilo namhlabuhlangene i-World Health Organization wekugcina tandla tihlantekile ngaso sonke isikhatsi kuvikela kulomkhuhlane lokhona we-coronavirus. Tiningi ke tindlela longatisebentisa kutivikela kuleli gciwane le-coronavirus. Yinye yato lencomekako ukuthi uyisebentise ngaso sonke isikhatsi kugeza tandla ngemanti lahlobile lahambako uphindze usebentise insipho ngaso sonke isikhatsi. Uthathe isikhathi lesinganga 20 seconds kuya ku 40 seconds solo utigezisisa letandla, noma ke usebentise isanitizer nangabe emanti angekho dutane nawe. Litiko letempilo likanye namhlabuhlangene liluleka kakhulu sive ukuthi silandzele nati tinyathelo ukuze ukuthi tandla tihlale tigcinekile tihlobile ngaso sonke isikhathi. Kumele umandise tandla takho ngemanti lahambako ushikishe insipho etandleni takho. Yenda siqiniseko sekuthi ushikisha totimbili tandla ngalokwanele. Sandla sekudla sishikishe ngetulu kwesandla sesencele. Naso sesencele sishikishe sandla sesekudla. Utisebenzise totimbili tandla kuze kuthi ugezeke kahle ngalokuphelele. Ushikishe insipho emkhathini weminwe yakho netandla totimbili. Uchubeke ushikishe ngemuva kweminwe yakho kuto totimbili tandla. Chubeka ushikishe tithupha totimbili shengathi uyatishwila. Usebenzise iminwe yakho lesonzelene. Shikisha sandla emkhathini. Kubomake noma ke labo labanetingalo letinze kufanele bashikishe letingalo kuze kuthi emagciwane langabe ahleti khona nawo akhone kugezeka kahle ngalokuphelele. Utiyakade tandla ngemanti lahambako. Tesule tome tandla ngetissue noma ke ngendvangu lehlobile. Uphindze usebenzise itissue noma indvangu kuvala impompi. Yenda siqiniseko sekulahla itissue endzaweni lapho ingeke kube lula khona ukuthi umuntu ayithinze. Nawe ungahlala unetandla letihlobile njalo njalo. Nginxusa onke eMaswati ukuthi asukumele etulu. Sihlanganyele kulomkhankaso wekugcina tandla tihlantekile kuze kuthi sitawuvikela lesifo singasingeni kalula sisive. Siphindze sikhutsate bekunene ukuthi nebantwana labancane basitakale basitwe ngilabadzala ukuthi bagezisise tandla tabo tihlale tihlobile. Lokho kube ngumsebenzi wabo labadzala ukuhlala bahlobise abantwana babagezisise tandla kuze kuthi kungabi lula ukuthi bantwana bangenwe ngulomkhuhlane we-coronavirus. Kuhloba kwami yimpilo yami. Siyabonga.
Welcome back, viewers. You are still tuned in on Eswatini TV to our program, Home Study. Right now, we have the Form 5s who are going to be doing physics for Form 5s, and I'm with Nolwazi Dlamini, like I had said before. Nolwazi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Nolwazi, how are you?
I am awesome. I am great. Today, mainly we're focusing on electricity, but on the lightning part. Can you just give us an overview of today's lesson?
Okay, today we'll be looking at lightning and resistance.
Okay.
Okay, lightning is important to learners because it is one of the killers out there.
Okay.
And then resistance. We need to understand that many components at home uses resistors. So there is a need for a learner to understand resistance.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And now to the viewer, can I just remind you that we are live on our YouTube channel, and to also make use of our WhatsApp line to text us. If you have any questions, you can text us and we'll give your questions through to Miss Dlamini. Miss Dlamini, over to you.
Evening to learners at home. Here are our objectives. Today, by the end of the lesson, learners are expected to explain in simple terms the occurrence of the phenomena of lightning. 2, they are to state that to state that resistance is equals to potential difference over currents. 3, they must describe an experiment to determine voltage over current characteristics for ohmic conductors. 4, they must plot and interpret the characteristics for ohmic conductors. 5, they must recall and use the equation V is equals to IR. And lastly, which is number 6, they must recall and use qualitatively the direct proportionality between resistance and the length, and the inverse proportionality between resistance and the cross-sectional area of the wire. So now let's get to our topic. But before we look at lightning, we must look at charges. We must look at charges. So we know that charges is either negative or positive, and that charges are detected using a gold leaf electroscope. So charging can be done in 2 ways. It is either by friction. So by friction, we have two uncharged bodies. Here we have an uncharged glass rod and an uncharged cloth. So here we rub the two. After rubbing the two, the tricloth gain electrons and it becomes negatively charged. And then the glass rod loses electrons and it becomes negatively charged. And then now let's look at charging.
Nolwazi, can I just interrupt you a little bit? Could you please explain to me about charging again? Because I was getting a bit lost while you were doing that there. Can you just please explain that to me again? The charging.
Charging can be done in 2 ways.
Okay.
The first one is charging can be done by friction. Friction when you are rubbing.
Okay.
Rubbing 2 uncharged cloths together. So here we have an uncharged cloth in our example here, the uncharged cloth here, and then we have an uncharged rod on the other side. Okay. So here we rub the 2. When we rub the 2, the tricloth gains electrons and it becomes negatively charged. And then the glass rod loses electrons and it becomes positively charged. And then now let's move on to charging by induction. Charging by induction. So, a charge brought near an uncharged body, it induces an opposite charge to the end close to it on the uncharged body. So here with me I have an example here of a charged polyethylene rod here with negatives, and then an uncharged conductor here. This is the uncharged conductor. So when we bring closer the polyethylene rod which is charged, then there is a separation of electrons, and then the protons will move on the other side. Here are the protons this side, and then the electrons will move on the other side. What you do, you then add using a hand. So here by adding you touch. So you add using a hand. Then the electrons will flow to the ground, and then you move your rod, and then you move your rod. When you move the rod, and then your sphere or the conductor will be left positively charged. And then now let's move on to the lightning. Lightning is a discharge of electron by the cloud seen as bolts of fire. During thunderstorm, clouds are formed as air becomes charged. As air becomes charged, and then as clouds rub against each other, they become charged. In the clouds, there is a positive charge formed at the top and a negative charge formed at the bottom. So here is the negative charge here, and then we have the positive charge at the top.
Okay.
So what?
Yes.
So
Continue.
what happens here is that an electron is being and then the grounds, then induce a positive charge. So here is the ground. Here is the ground with the positive. So what happens here? An electron is then attracted to the ground due to the great difference, due to the great potential difference. Then, due to the great potential difference between the two, then there is a spark, which is the large bolt of current that we have talked about. So now let's look at an electric conductor. What is an electric conductor? An electric conductor is a thin rod connected to the ground by a copper conductor, by a copper conductor and placed at a highest, it is placed at the highest point in the area to be protected, such as top buildings. So a lighting conductor here is used to prevent damages that can be caused by lightning. So let's take a look at a simple lightning conductor. So here is a simple lightning conductor. Here the conductor takes the electrons to the ground, and then now we have a question.
Can you please, sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can we please go back to the previous slide?
Okay.
I got lost a little bit as well. Can you please show us where the conductor is? I got lost right there. I couldn't see.
So
yes,
here we go. So this is the conductor.
Okay.
Here, placed at the top of the building. And then we have a wire, a copper wire, which is used to earth, taking the electrons to the ground.
All right.
This is how it works.
Okay.
So now let's look at a typical exam question. Thunder and lightning are frequent in summer. Describe how lightning occurs between a negative charge cloud and the ground. And then you are expected to answer in this format. The negative charge cloud will induce a positive charge on the ground, and a large potential difference develops between the clouds and the ground. An electron, which is the negatively charged particles, move towards the ground, and a spark is formed. And now, since we have seen a question in lightning, so now let's move and look at charges. What is a charge now? What is a charge now? It is the number of electrons passing through a point per second in a conductor. It is measured in coulombs, symbol capital letter C. Charge is equals to current in amps times time in seconds. So Q in symbols, Q is charge. Q is equals to I times time. In order for current to exist, there must be a potential difference, PD in a second. So what is this PD now? PD is the electrical energy supplied per column of a charge flowing around a complete second. And then this will lead us to resistance. This will lead us to resistance. Sorry, the slide is okay.
Can we take a bit of a break? Can you just have a bit of water? We'll be right back.
The basic protective measures against the new coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently and thoroughly with soap and water, or use alcohol-based hand rub. Maintain social distancing. Maintain at least 1 meter distance between yourself and anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Avoid touching eyes, nose, and mouth. Hands touch many surfaces and can pick viruses. Once contaminated, hands can transfer the virus to your eyes, nose, or mouth. From there, the virus can enter your body and make you sick. Practice respiratory hygiene. Make sure you and the people around you follow good respiratory hygiene. This means covering your mouth and nose with your bent elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. Dispose the used tissue immediately. If you have fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical help early. Stay home if you feel unwell. Follow the directions of your local health authority. Stay informed and follow advice given by your healthcare provider.
Hands come in all shapes and sizes. Indeed, one of God's greatest inventions. It is amazing what you can do with those hands. But watch those hands. They can kill you. Wash your hands regularly with water and soap. With our hands, we will beat coronavirus. My cleanliness is my life.
Welcome back, viewers. You are with us on our physics class today with Nolwazi Dlamini. Nolwazi, let's continue with the lesson.
Okay, so now let's move on to resistance. But before we get into resistance, we must understand that there are two categories of materials that exist: an electrical insulator and an electrical conductor. So in an electrical insulator, all the electrons are attached to the atoms and will not move on their own. And on the other side, in the electrical conductor, some electrons are free and are able to move between the atom. So the opposition of these movements is called the resistance. Resistance can be measured using resistance can be measured. Okay, there are two types of resistors. Let's just go there first. There are two types of resistors. Sorry. Oh, something happened. Sorry.
You want the next slide?
I want the next slide. I just missed. This is the next slide.
That's the next slide.
Okay, sorry. When current passes through a conductor, a voltage drops occurs, and it can be measured. The better the conductor, the smaller the voltage drop at any 2 points. If the current through a conductor I and the potential difference PD V is V, then its resistance R is defined by the equation resistance is equals to potential difference over current. This is called the Ohm's law, where R is equals to V over I. And then we can rearrange this equation to come out with V is equals to IR, and I is equals to V over R. Resistance is measured in ohms, denoted omega. This is the sign. And then now let's move to the resistors. There are two types of resistors. We have a fixed resistor and then we have a variable resistor. These are the symbols for the fixed resistor. This is the symbol for a fixed resistor. This is our fixed resistor, and then this is our variable resistor. So the only difference here is the R between the two resistors. So under variable resistor, we have a rheostat, which we normally have in the labs. We have the rheostat. So now let's look at a connection, how to connect these two in a second. We are going to investigate the relationship between the potential difference and the current across a resistor. So now here we have a circuit. This is a switch, and this one is a cell. This one is the variable resistor that we have been talking about. This one is the ammeter. This one is the voltmeter, and lastly we have a resistor here. So what we are going to do here will be varying using this, varying the current using the variable resistor. So what we'll be doing, we'll be taking readings from the ammeter and the voltage. So our results will be as follows. So when the voltage is 2.2, and then we expect our current to be 0.1. And then when again it is 6.6, and then our current will be 0.3. And then when it is 11, it is 0.5, and when it is 15.4, we have 0.7. So now we must calculate the resistance. So to calculate the resistance, we are going to use the equation that we have come across, which says R is equals to V over I. So what we are going to do here, we will substitute V. So V now will be 2.2 divided by 0.1. And this one gives us 22, which is our resistance here. So 22, after calculating the other results, you will find that the resistance is 22 across. And then this take us, when these results are plotted, a straight line passing through the origin is able, a straight line passing through the origin, we are going to get a straight line passing through an origin, and then current will be directly proportional to the voltage. And then again, the gradient of the line give us this. The gradient of the line give us the resistance.
Okay, Ms. Lamini, can I just interrupt you a little bit? Can I just give you like a time of like 5 minutes to just please wrap up our lesson and just wrap up everything that we've been talking about today. I'll allow you to actually finish this part of it, but can you please just wrap it up after that?
Okay. So the gradient here give us the resistance. The relationship V is equals to IR is called the Ohm's law, which is called the Ohm's law, is verified in this graph. The resistance R is constant because we have 22 across, and the resistors with such behavior are called ohmic conductors. They are called ohmic conductors. So our next slide was on factors affecting resistance. So learners can do that at home. You read on factors affecting resistance. So our lesson today, we looked at lightning and resistance. Under lightning, we look at charges, how lightning is formed. And then again, we also looked at resistance. Under resistance, we looked at the Ohm's law, how we use a variable resistor to investigate the relationship between current and potential difference, which is voltage. That's all for today.
Okay, Ms. Lamini, there were two questions from our viewers. There's a viewer that says that I'm lost in the movement of electrons in charging by induction. Can you just briefly explain that to them?
Okay, let's just go to that slide. Charging by induction.
Yes.
So here, when we are charging by induction, we have two bodies, one with a known charge and the other one is neutral, which means it is uncharged.
Okay.
And then we bring closer the charged body to the uncharged body. So what happens here, there is a separation of the protons and the electrons, and then you touch the conductor, the one that was neutral. You touch it using a hand. When you touch it using a hand, the electrons now they flow through the body to the end, and then you move the rod. When you move the rod, then this body will be positively charged.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Lamini, for all that wonderful physics lesson. And I hope the Form 5s were able to get a bit of that lesson and they learned something from it. We'll be right back right after this.
COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by a new coronavirus introduced to humans for the first time. It is spread from person to person, mainly through the droplets produced when an infected person speaks, coughs, or sneezes. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby. These droplets are too heavy to travel far in the air. They only travel approximately 1 meter and quickly settle on surfaces. This is the reason person-to-person spread is happening mainly between close contacts. The exact time that the virus can survive on surfaces is not yet known. So it is wise to clean surfaces regularly, particularly in the vicinity of people infected with COVID-19. Hands touch many surfaces, which can be contaminated with the virus. You should therefore avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth, since contaminated hands can transfer the virus from the surface to yourself. When coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with the bend of your elbow or use a disposable tissue. If a tissue is used, discard it immediately into a closed bin. The most effective way to prevent the spread of the new coronavirus is to clean your hands frequently with an alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water. This will eliminate the virus if it is on your hands. Stay healthy and prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Fuminas. Asashone ma. Kude lodawati kuthula la kamanyazi. Cha.
No. Ngikuphela ukulizama ukubalekela. Ukuthi singumndeni simunye. Sivale kwazana sonke.
Yini la manyana lawa wena uyaphila kahle la? No. Angeke uyimele lempilo ufuna kuyisusa. Utawushaka kabuhlungu.
What the hell is going on? Don't touch me. What is she doing here?
Ngicabanga sinecabanga sisile le nto. Angesabi impi mina. I need to talk to her. Sorry.
Ma, kokhula sitagcina sibonela sejubile nyalo.
Hi, sweetie. Unjani?
I'm pissed.
A very warm welcome again to our show, Home Study. Lerato, how was your day today?
Oh, my day was fantastic.
Yeah.
I enjoyed learning today, and I learned a lot of things, and I got to remember things I had forgotten. How was your day?
My day was incredible. I think for me, it was social studies and biology that actually stuck out for me. So I was actually good with those ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How was physics, though?
Physics was a bit difficult, I will say, but got a couple of things there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So, please kindly tell us the timetable for tomorrow's lessons.
Okay, so viewers, tomorrow, this is how our subjects are looking. We have mathematics at for grade 7 from 2 o'clock until 2:30. Then we have additional mathematics from 3 from 2:30 until 3:08. Then we have Eswatini from 3 from 3:08 until 4:45. Then we have religious education for Form 5 from 4:45 until 4:25. Then we have mathematics, which will be our last subject for Form 5, which will be from 4:25 until 5:02.
Okay, thank you very much, Nogwazi, for tomorrow's timetable. Anything else?
I hope that our viewers got that timetable and will be able to tune in tomorrow. Speaking of tuning in, you can tune in on our YouTube channel. If you missed today's lesson, do not worry. Our show is available on our YouTube channel, and also do not forget our WhatsApp number. You can feel free to use that WhatsApp number for texting, and I am going to emphasize, text us. Do not call us, please. Do not call us. Text us for any questions that you might have. Anything that you want to add, Lerato?
No, except to say thank you a lot to the viewers for watching and for their constant support, especially to the YouTube followers. Thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed your day with us today.
And also a very huge thank you to the teachers who would not be here if it wasn't for them, of course. Thank you very much for joining us. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys.